Hello, my dear friends. Today I wanted to come to you with a discourse on self worth. And the reason I want to do that is because if you're anything like me, I dare say you may have struggled with self worth, feeling like maybe you're not good enough, feeling like you're not worthy, maybe feeling like you're not smart enough, or you don't understand certain things and therefore you can't fit in with certain groups. Maybe you felt like an outsider. Maybe you felt in some way, shape, or form that you're not enough to be part of some society, some friendship groups, um, maybe some positions at work, some relationships. I can tell you, a cute little story. When I first ever got my first car, it was a sports car, and I on the day I woke up and was going to get that car, I actually said to my mum, "Oh, it's okay, I won't go." And then my mom said, "Why?" And she goes, and then I said, "Well, it's because, kids like me, like I'm not in the cool group. It's only like the cool kids, like that get like good, like nice cars like that, like sports cars like that. And I'm not really like one of the cool kids. I'm not really in that group. And it was my mum who said you should go and get that car." And I want to convey through this video not so much just with messages and certain pieces of wisdom that I'd like to impart to you, but also through the feeling, through the emotion. I really hope you can feel, and I believe that there can be an energetic transmission from me to you, so you can really feel that you are so very much enough. You are good enough, and I believe you will realize that before the end. And that journey of realizing that you are indeed good enough, you are indeed worthy, you're just as worthy as anyone else. And please excuse me if I tear up, but I really believe what I'm saying to you here. I really do. You are good enough, and you are just as worthy. For me, it's been a 10 plus year journey. Maybe it's been a very, like, to be honest, it's been a huge journey, over 20 years probably of not feeling enough. uh, but over the recent years, I've very much integrated the knowing that I am good enough, that I am worthy, and that is indeed what you also deserve. And that's why I have created this video, to impart some of the knowledge. And I dare say I may even make a secondary video or a third on this same topic. So let me start here in terms of understanding that you are good enough. I trust you can understand by my introduction that you probably have had moments where you did not feel good enough. And I have found this journey of recognizing that you are good enough. Sometimes just one video won't do it, but it's something that you kind of recognize layer by layer by layer. And for me, probably a few years ago, I hit a bit of a critical mass where I realized I kind of just, it all just faded away. And I just realized, oh my God, I'm actually just as worthy as anyone else. And I trust that this video will support you on that journey, because I must stress to you, do not fall in the illusion. You may be falling in the illusion and really believing that voice in your head that thinks that you are not enough. And I assure you, it is just an illusion. It's an absolute just an illusion. And there's a few different parts which needs to be like kind of disconnected and disintegrated for you to recognize the truth that it is indeed an illusion. Uh, just in reference to my other videos, there's one on inner child healing, because a huge part of me realizing that I was enough was giving myself self-love. And one of the pieces of giving yourself self-love is to see the inner child in you. And for me, I realized, for me personally, I was bullied profusely between ages 4 and 14. And then between 14 and 21, I used to get super depressed and never really felt like I fit in, or never really felt like I was enough or smart enough for so many different groups of people. And for me, a huge breakthrough came when I was 25, when I was at a personal development event, and and they did an inner child healing process, and I actually had a huge breakthrough, because I realized that my actual biggest bully in the world had been myself. I had actually been the biggest bully to myself, because regardless of what, you know, this person said, or this adult said, or this bully said, or whatever, regardless of me not fitting in, regardless of all those things that happened on the external, ultimately only I can really control. No one else can control what I believe. No one else can dictate what I believe except for myself. And no matter what happened on the external, on the outside world, I allowed those things to mean that I was not good enough. And I forgive myself because early, like, you know, when I was a kid, maybe I just didn't know better, and who couldn't forgive that? But, you know, as I became a teenager and a young adult, I realized I was my own worst enemy. I was my own biggest bully because I kept on telling myself I was not enough. And I was interpreting situations that way. And I realized that I had been my biggest bully, and I had a really beautiful moment where I saw that inner child, that inner being in me, like, you know, the young version of me. And I just looked at the purity of this little soul. And I hope as I share this, you know, you can reflect on your own inner child and realize that that kid, that inner child in you, like, is probably some super beautiful, vibrant, joyful, cheeky, mischievous, gorgeous kid in you. And somewhere along the lines, you have been telling him or her or they that kid is not enough. and that is not the truth. Of course it's not the truth. And even if you'd like to take a moment in this video before I actually get into what I wanted to share with you, I really encourage you to, like, think about that little child in you, that little boy or little girl, and realize that that kid was, of course, good enough, always good enough. And somewhere along the lines, something got in your head which you allowed to continue, that that kid wasn't good enough. But of course, that kid was good enough. And yeah, I will link below a lovely, like, inner child meditation where you can really kind of go back in a guided way and give that inner child a hug and reassure him or her that they are, of course, very much good enough. So with that being said, and, you know, there's been other moments along the way, you know, beautiful mentors of mine have, you know, have sometimes just validated me. You know, I remember a really older brother, like, he's like an older friend who was like an older brother to me. And one day he just said, you know, I said to him, bro, I don't even know what people think of me, bro. I don't even know, like, how people perceive me. And he just looked at me straight up and he just goes, bro, you're a sick cunt, bro. And I apologize for the swearing, I apologize for the language, but I'm just being very raw and authentic with you. That's what he said. He goes, bro, you're a sick cunt. Like, he said it so matter-of-factly. And that moment always stayed with me. I'm like, oh, I can't be that. I mean, I am. Yeah, I am. You know what? Like, I love him. I respect him. And there have been a million older male figures, in my perception, so many male figures in my life that made me feel like I was not enough, or I allowed them to make me feel like I was not good enough. And for me, as a man, to have an older brother look at me direct and say, bro, you're a legend, bro. You know, I never forgot that moment. And as I say this, I encourage you to think of maybe some moments in your life where someone has validated you with absolute purity, absolute just honesty, and looked at you and said, of course you're a legend, of course you're amazing, you know. And I encourage you, here's my point number 2, let that land. Let that land. And if you'd like, and this is an exercise I've given to some of my coaching clients before, write down a list of all the moments, all the times where someone has told you that you are a legend, or that you are good enough, or you know, you're amazing, or people have looked at you in admiration. I encourage you to write down this list, and what you'll probably find, you know, initially it's a little bit hard, but what you will find actually is that there's probably way more moments than you realize, that you've allowed yourself to realize, where you have received tons of validation from the universe that you are indeed good enough. so so that's kind of like a point number two that really anchored me. You know, the first point was the inner child healing, and me talking to myself and realizing that I was my own worst bully. And I realized I'm not going to be a bully to myself anymore, and I am, and I'm going to love that kid inside me, because that kid is good enough. Of course, that kid is good enough, and just like your kid is good enough. Am I wrong? And then the second piece was like recognizing that there have been people, I am sure, who've told you that you are good enough. Now, here's actually the piece that I actually created this video for. This is a book which I'll give you a bit of context on this book, but effectively in this book, I found such a beautiful passage about the reality of nature and the reality of you and me in this universe. And it was so moving and so reassuring that for me, it really was kind of the nail in the coffin where I stopped completely doubting whether I was good enough or not. It was a no-brainer after I read this. So let me give you the context quickly. This book is called The Kybalion. It's a very difficult book to read. There's an audiobook on YouTube which might be easier for you, but you may have heard of the Greek god called Hermes, or the Egyptian god called Thoth, Thoth. It's like the I believe it's called Iris, like it's like it has a head of like a bird, and apparently that's based on a real person who lived 30,000 years ago in Egypt called Hermes. And Hermes was basically this wild sage, and he said some wise shit, and and all these people from around the world back in the day, like the Vedas and all that stuff, like they all came to him. He was the OG, and he was the OG, and he taught him. He spat game to everyone, and basically he his wisdom was contained in these things called the Emerald Tablets, which are said to have come from 30,000 years ago. Historically, they found like evidence of it 800, in 800 AD, 900, like so the 8th and 9th century. So they're very old, and it's gone into Arabic, it's gone into Judaism as the Hermetic teachings. Anyway, so that's the context. It's basically from, it's said to be from a legendary sage 30,000 years ago who was, someone from Atlantis, and he was in Egypt, and he was the guy that built the pyramids and all the things, right? So that's a different story. But regardless, what this book has is just these gorgeous principles of the universe. Now, there's a passage in this book which I'd like to read to you. And the context is this. One of the principles, it's called the Hermetic principles. From Hermes, there are the Hermetic principles. One of the principles is it's called mentalism, and it literally says the all is mind, the universe is mental. Now, what that means, because it's all cryptic and stuff, what it means is the all, you can put the synonym for God. So the God is mind, and the universe is mental. So basically what that means is the universe is created in the mind of God. So I'm not talking about any specific religion, just whoever you believe the creator is. Basically what this book is saying is that the entire universe is a mental projection of the creator. And if you were to imagine so you have your imagination, and in your imagination, when you think and you think about things and you have an imagination, you can create little stories in your head, right? And you can even create characters like, J.K. Rowling, she created Harry Potter, and she created Hermione Granger and Voldemort and Ron Weasley, and in her mind, J.K. Rowling created a whole universe, a whole world through her mind, right? And she put it onto paper. So did Shakespeare. So did Tolkien. Any great author has initially created in their mind. Eminem created Stan in his mind, right? And effectively, one of the principles is as above, so below. It's like a fractal pattern. As it's small, so it's big. As above, so below. As it is big, so it is small. And as it is small, so it is big. It's a fractal pattern. Meaning, so in the same way you and I can dream up characters and worlds in our head, we are characters, and everything in this universe is dreamed up, on a bigger scale by God or the Creator. So that's the context, right? And so now I'm going to shut up and read a little bit to you from it, which, to be honest, when I heard this, it really moved me to tears, actually. And I really hope you can feel this. And through it all, I hope you can feel I love you and that you are good enough. And I assure you, if you ever meet me in person, you'll feel that way. You'll feel the truth that you are very much good enough. So here we go. Please excuse me. Okay. I'll read out a few passages. This is from page 40 of the Kybalion. Chapter is called The Mental Universe. Is it any wonder that you, the child, feel that instinctive reverence for God, which feeling we call religion or spirituality? That respect, is it any wonder that you respect and have reverence for the Father Mind? Is it any wonder that when you consider the works and wonders of nature, you are overcome with a mighty feeling which has its roots away down in your innermost being? It is the mother mind that you are pressing up close to, like a baby to a breast. Effectively, in that passage, what he's saying is it any wonder that when we all feel some kind of reverence towards God or a creator or something? Is it any wonder that when we look at nature, it moves us? Because that's the Father Mind, that's the Father, God the Father, nature the Mother. Death is not real, even in the relative sense. It is but birth to a new life. And you shall go on and on and on, to higher and still higher planes of life, for eons upon eons of time. Do not make the mistake of supposing that this little world you see around you, the earth, which is a mere grain of dust in the universe, is the universe itself. There are millions upon millions of such worlds, and greater. There are millions of such universes in existence within the infinite mind of God. And even in our own little solar system, there are regions and planes of life far greater than ours, and beings compared to which we earthbound mortals are as slimy life forms that dwell on the ocean's bed when compared to man. There are beings with powers and attributes higher than man has ever dreamed of the gods possessing, and yet these beings were once as you, and still lower, and you will be even as they, and still higher in time. For such is the destiny of man as reported by the illumined. Death is not real, even in the relative sense. It is but the birth to a new life. You shall go on and on and on, to higher and still higher planes of life, for eons upon eons of time. The universe is your home, and you shall explore its farthest recesses before the end of time. You are dwelling in the infinite mind of God, and your possibilities and opportunities are infinite, both in time and space. And at the end of the grand cycle of eons, When the all shall draw back into itself all of its creations, when God shall draw back into itself all of its creations, you will go gladly, for you will then be able to know the whole truth of being at one with God. So, do not feel insecure or afraid, for we are all held firmly in the infinite mind of God. And there is naught to hurt us or for us to fear. There is no power outside of the all, outside of God, to affect us. Because everything's been created by God. Everything belongs here in the mind of God. There is no power outside of God to affect us. So we may rest calm and serene and secure. There is a world of comfort and security in this realization when attained. Then calm and peaceful do we sleep, rocked in the cradle of the deep, resting safely on the bosom of the ocean of infinite mind, which is God. In God, indeed, do we live and move and have our being. Within the father-mother mind, mortal children are at home. There is not one who is fatherless nor motherless in the universe. The universe is your home, and you shall rest it. The universe is your home, and you shall explore its farthest recesses before the end of time. You're dwelling in the infinite mind of God, and your possibilities and opportunities are infinite, both in time and space. And at the end of the grand cycle of eons, when God shall draw back into itself all of its creations, you will go gladly, for you will then be able to know the whole truth of being at one with God. So rest calm and serene. You are safe and protected by the infinite power of the Father-Mother mind. I hope that was as moving for you, or it helps you in some small way. The message there is realize that in this big, beautiful creation that is called the universe, well beyond anything that we truly know, it's all created by the Creator, the Creator. It's created in the imagination of the Creator. Just like Romeo and Juliet and King Arthur and King Lear and Macbeth, they've been created, except for King Arthur, I'm so sorry. Macbeth and King Lear, Romeo and Juliet, they're created in the image of the Creator, right? Shakespeare is the creator, and he created these characters. But they're all created by him. They're created in his container. All created from one. And what I'd invite you to take from this video is that in the same way, God or your Creator has created you and me and everything else in this world, and we are safe in the mind of that Creator. We don't belong anywhere else. We don't belong anywhere else. The universe is our home. We're not supposed to be. Where else are we supposed to be? The universe is our home. There's nothing outside of it. It's all created in the mind of God, and there's nothing outside of it. Meaning, where is your home but here? Where is your home but here? The universe belongs to you as it belongs to everyone. It's your home. So it doesn't matter what suburb you go to. It doesn't matter what club you go to. It doesn't matter where you go for dinner. It doesn't matter where you go in the world or where you go in space. Your health in the universe. And the universe is your home. And you are just as worthy of being here as every other thing in this universe, because we're all created from the one thing. You don't belong anywhere else. This is your home. And if you ever wonder what your identity is, the truth is your identity changes over time. Everyone's does. The only true identity we have is whatever's in the moment, because the present moment is your home. The present moment belongs to you. This present moment belongs to you just as much as it belongs to anyone else. So remember this. This present moment is your home. You're supposed to be here, not anywhere else. You deserve to be here, not anywhere else, because the present moment is the only thing we actually have. It's the only thing that anyone has, is this moment, here and now. So it belongs to you and everyone else. And you're just as worthy of having it as anyone else. Because you're a child of this universe, as everyone else is. So you are worthy. The universe is your home. The universe is your home. The universe is your home. You're just as worthy as everyone else, and you belong here. You don't belong anywhere else. So I really hope with this, more than the words that I said or where I fumbled around or if I didn't explain anything clearly, I hope you could feel it. I hope you could feel the message that you don't belong anywhere else. You belong here in this universe, because there is nowhere else. You're a child of this universe. You belong here. You're worthy of being here. The last thing I'll say before I leave you for today is feel that heart of yours beating inside of you. See if you can sense it beating. Breathing oxygen into it. And know that this beautiful heart of yours beats 100,000 times a day for you without you telling it to. As long as it beats, you live. And you did nothing to earn it. You did nothing. You didn't have to win it. You didn't have to do something for it. It was a gift given to you. Before there was a brain, there was a heart. That was the first sign of life. You did nothing to earn it. Something already knew that you were good enough to receive this gift of life. And as long as it beats, you live here on this plane. And when you die, know that that is not the end of life. Because the opposite of death is not life. The opposite of death is birth. But life goes on. Your life goes on. Cycling through eons of time, as that beautiful book said. You have birth and death in life and in many forms as well. But life goes on. Life goes on. And this life belongs to you. And this universe belongs to you. Because you're not supposed to be anywhere else. So with this, I encourage you to realize that you belong here. You are worthy. You are good enough. You're not supposed to be anywhere else. So own that, feel that. Realize that everything you see around you, you share a home with. So give it love. Give it love. The more love and acceptance you give to everything around you, the more you will feel love, acceptance right back. And continue to be around people. And when you realize this, you might realize, wow, you have maybe been your own worst enemy or your own biggest bully, and you don't need to subject yourself to people who don't treat you with the respect that you deserve. And maybe with this will encourage you to be around people that reflect, that have enough love and self-worth within them, and know that they are good enough, that's what they reflect to you too. The only people that make you feel not good enough are the people who don't feel good enough. But when you start to recognize that you are good enough, you will naturally start to associate with people who also project that they are good enough. And then you leave that paradigm forever. And then you enter a world where, of course, you're good enough. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for being with me. Please do share it with anyone who you think can benefit from it. Yeah, love you. Thank you. And I hope to see you again soon.